Good evening, this is 6:15. This is the public hearing regarding the application filed by Love's Commons Partnership for the designated outdoor refreshment area pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 430182. We've never had a public hearing on a DORA application before, but we will have many public hearings on, that come before our committees and before our commissions. So we're going to do it kind of just like that. The administration, our lawyer will explain what's before council. Then the administration will make a brief report on its recommendation. Then the applicant will be given the opportunity to present its application. And then council can ask questions of the applicant. And then there'll be a time for the public comment. And we'll get that all done in 15 minutes. Okay, so let's get started. Water, please go ahead.
So, good evening. As the mayor stated, we are here for the public hearing on a designated outdoor refreshment area application filed by Love's Commons Partnership. City Council has all received draft legislation, not for action this evening, but to facilitate their discussion moving forward. There are specific timeframes that the City Council is required to act within, and to help aid them in those decisions. Their final regularly scheduled meeting of October 1st would be the last date that they would have on a regular scheduled meeting to take action in this. The only thing that is before City Council this evening is the application as filed by Love's Commons. The Ohio Revised Code provides the mayor the discretion to determine what application he will forward to City Council for their review. Administrator Cabot will provide some background as to how that decision-making process went through the city administration. So City Council, I know you have in front of you, and one of my, I think I've emphasized it a couple times, but one of my main concerns coming out of this meeting and moving forward is to know when City Council desires to have the action actually legislatively placed on your agenda. We will have to advertise 2 consecutive weeks prior to City Council taking any action on the application. If their decision is to approve or disapprove, the public will again have notice. So you will see moving forward additional notices placed in the media so that you're aware as to when to attend and to share any of your concerns. The City Council application that they have before them has met the minimum requirements, and City Council does have the ability to make very specific requirements as it relates to general welfare, public health, public safety, and public sanitation as it relates to the establishment of a designated outdoor refreshment area. Those are all issues I believe you'll hear City Council discussing either this evening or moving forward in the future meetings. With that said, I'll hand it over to Administrator Cabot to talk about how the decision was made to forward the Love's Commons Partnership application to the City Council.
Thank you. Good evening. Council may recall that a few weeks ago, my office sent out a communication to each member that was actually a recap of some of what Ms. Alkire just stated in terms of what the law provides for, as well as a recommendation from senior staff that we provided to Mayor Mackin. That senior staff included the police chief, the fire chief, planning and zoning administrator, finance director, public service director, public utilities director, HR manager, IT manager, and the law director, and perhaps missing 1 or 2 others. But we had a crowded room, and we did go through both applications, looked at the requirements, as Ms. Alkire noted. Both applications met the minimum requirements as set up by the Ohio Revised Code. But we did note in our recommendation to Mayor Mackin that along with the police chief, Chief Jones, contacting both Sylvania's chief and the City of Toledo's chief to see how their doors were proceeding in their jurisdictions, he received feedback that it was going very well. They had no issues come before him to date. And I believe Sylvania's DORA was just enacted this year, and the City of Toledo's has been in existence since the latter part, I believe, of 2017, and they have had no issues. But we did take into consideration, besides the Ohio Revised Code requirements, other items such as the future opportunity for growth, consistency with current use, and reliance on municipal services. We felt that on the future opportunity for growth, that Levis Commons had a natural advantage through its location within an entertainment district, which promotes the activities utilized within the DORA. There was the natural boundaries that the police chief was comfortable with in terms of the acreage and how it was laid out. For consistency of use, the proposed DORA establishments within the Levis Commons area is currently at 14. The city would be able to maximize our only opportunity to designate a DORA within its boundaries by selecting the area that proposes almost 3 times the amount of permit holders. We also took a look at the residential aspect. Levis Commons is not within the Historic Landmarks District, and the residential property owners that are within the Levis Commons area have not raised any concerns, but we have heard concerns from the residences around the downtown area. Finally, the reliance on municipal services was of concern to the city. Levis Commons application put out in specific detail how their current practice of private security and sanitation services does not impose on or rely upon municipal services of the city. And there's currently a network of security surveillance in place at Levis, and the Levis application details advance notice to the police division for special events expected to attract large groups of people. As well, they have, since this application was submitted, they have put together a bike detail for security as well out at Levis Commons. So taking into consideration all of these items, we propose to the mayor that the recommendation be made to move forward with the Levis Commons application.
Okay, thank you. All right, and based on that, I made a recommendation that be submitted to council. The applicant is here, I assume, so I will give the applicant the floor, and please introduce yourself so we have a nice record.
Good evening, Council. How are you? My name is Rita Nelson. I'm the General Manager for the Town Center in Levis Commons.
My name is Allison Schroeder, and I am the Levis Commons Marketing Director.
Appreciate your address, your business addresses, please. Just so we have, sorry.
Business address 3201 Levis Commons Boulevard. I'm a little taller than Rita. Okay. Appreciate you guys letting us present. A lot of this things in our show here are similar to what was just presented, so we'll go through it fairly quickly. Levis Commons, again, is already designated as the entertainment district. We have between 8 and 10 liquor permits that are already earmarked for Levis Commons pending future restaurant and bar development at Levis Commons. It was selected as an entertainment district due to the fact that we have comedy clubs, cinema, numerous venues for entertainment. We have 70 plus businesses that are in the DORA area at Levis Commons. This would include the shopping, dining services, as well as another 25 back in the offices and industrial area. We currently have 14 Levis Commons liquor permit holders and 2 more that are working on looking into getting a liquor permit with the possibility of the DORA option. Of those 14, 8 of them are locally owned businesses that are within the DORA at Levis Commons. We have 20 locally owned businesses altogether at Levis Commons. That's just the list there. Many of you are probably familiar with all those. We have a whole marketing campaign that we do for Levis is Local to support those mom and pop type shops that operate at Levis Commons. We have 3 on-site hotels, as I'm sure most of you are familiar with, as well as just notable the significant bed tax that's paid back to the city through those 3 hotels, as well as currently 3 residential communities within Levis Commons. As previously mentioned, security is something that we take very seriously at Levis. We have on-site security, and very notable is that the security company that we contract with currently also handles the downtown DORA security. So we have already done some communicating with them on the training and the ins and outs of managing the security level for a DORA. We have on-site cleaning and trash management as well. All of that is privately funded through Levis Commons businesses and management. Levis Commons is fully ADA compliant. We're open 7 days a week, open until 9 p.m. most days. And we have surveillance through the whole main section of the shopping center just to back up the security. We've already established some rules that we plan to use while operating as a DORA. We had met with the police early on. They had some concerns about the hours that we wanted to, we originally had it, I think, till 1 a.m. He asked that we cut that back, so we now have it with the last cup being served at 11 p.m. The stores that we have originally surveyed, about 75% are preliminary, saying that they would allow the DORA cups inside. So we have some signs designed to indicate which stores will be allowing the DORA cups to come in. It's just another view of that. Our cups at this point are technical differences. These are some handouts that we've modeled over based on some of the other DORA districts, Toledo and Sylvania, that will be readily available at all the DORA participants, as well as in the common areas of the shopping center. Just to reiterate some of the rules, this is the map of the perimeters for the DORA. As you can see, it's very well geographically indicated where the boundaries are. You're either going to a main road or you're going to a ditch. So you can't get very far with your cup without knowing that you've gone too far. All the little blue dots are the signs that will indicate no cups beyond this point, but it's pretty well obvious where the DORA area ends. In order to kind of address some of the concerns about people being drunk or stumbling down the road, all laws of liquor intoxication and stuff will still be maintained. The public intoxication rules, drunk and disorderly, open containers. We'll make sure that anyone with alcohol is carrying it in the proper DORA cup. And if anything, I feel that we're going to be kind of under the microscope, if you will. So all those laws are going to be even further enforced and watched. Levis Commons has a ton of events that we do annually, and we feel that we will be able to enhance those with the addition of the DORA, including the weddings that we have back at the clock tower, use of the amphitheater, fundraisers, holiday celebrations. We want to continue to market Levis Commons as an upscale destination. There will be at no time any type of bar crawl type activity with the use of this DORA. We envision wine tastings and people being able to walk with their wine or their craft beer as they go and stroll the fine arts fair, that kind of a thing. So again, just in summary, everything that is needed to maintain the DORA is all privately funded through Levis. We've got a lot of local businesses that are within Levis Commons, numerous that have a liquor permit, and the geographical boundaries, as well as the fact that we're already designated as an entertainment district.
I don't. Council, we do have, I guess, few presentations to hand out to each of you, so we'll do that after this is over.
Do any council members have any questions?
I have some questions.
Okay.
My concern would be by basically having this DORA district that you had mentioned, wouldn't that be, when people are leaving, wouldn't that be looking for the State Highway Patrol or the Sheriff's Office or our Perrysburg Police to be looking for people coming intoxicated coming from your direction?
Are you asking that in reference to like the state or tax funding? Like you're saying once they leave that boundary, it still falls back on the city?
I think it does.
Right. I would have to agree with that, but with that being said, 18-ounce cup. Our security is going to be maintaining that within the property. Once you get in the vehicle and you're driving, then you're already going against the laws that have to be enforced by the police department, which would come into effect anyways.
I guess I find it I think it would be hard to control it, so to speak, really.
If I may.
Yep.
Council, I'm trying to understand what you find. I'm confused because at the present time there are laws in effect, DUI laws.
I'm aware of that, but
So-
my concern would be people that would be leaving, people that would be also, I should say, people that would be shopping. And, you know, I don't think they're going to want to have somebody who's intoxicated coming by with a cup when they're trying to be doing their shopping. Or, you know, when you're eating, it's a different situation because you have alcohol and/or the bar within the restaurants. You can already drink within the restaurants. You can already sit out on the balcony area at most restaurants that I'm aware of. And I guess I don't understand why they need to be walking around with a cup.
Good question. I think what we're trying to do is create an ambiance of relaxation, fun, in that if we're having an art fair, which is well attended, it's nice to have a glass of wine or perhaps a glass of beer, if you will, to walk around and enjoy the surroundings. I'm not from this area. You know, I've traveled a lot and I've been to a number of cities that have a DORA, if you will. And it's nice to have a glass of wine and walk around. And that's what we're trying to create, is that experience. With the understanding that we will have security, we have cameras, and of course we're going to have the help of Perrysburg police if needed. But honestly, with our demographics, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue.
I've heard otherwise, I will say, but I mean, that would be my concern. I
Okay.
do shop at both places. I go downtown.
Sure.
And I do go to Levis Commons.
Mhm.
I like both locations.
Sure, and I respect your position. You know, I look at incident reports, and in the period of time that I've been there, and it's been 1 year, the incident reports regarding intoxication has maybe been one, in all honesty. So again, I think we do a very good job in making sure that we address issues and we address them properly and quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Becky?
My questions are going to be specific towards your application, if I could. Could you bring back the picture of what classes look like and what's being placed on them, printed on it? So I could see this.
That's the slide that didn't want to cooperate.
Oh, okay.
We're getting there.
Well, you have it on what you're passing out to us, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is this the one that you're referring to?
No, she's talking about the ones with
The
glasses with
actual-
the cups, but it won't. There. Oh, we're getting there. Okay, wait. There.
What does
Okay.
that say?
It says the 3 simple rules are cups are allowed daily from noon to 11, only permitted inside establishments with the DORA logo. Cups must stay within the DORA boundary.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Okay, my first set of questions are regarding security. At this point, my understanding is you have approximately 217 hours of security per week.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay. With this DORA, what is your proposal as far as how many security officers you would have on duty at a time per day?
When we, and if we are lucky enough to have the DORA, we will then go ahead and review what that number will be to make sure that security is addressed throughout the Levis Commons. We have discussed a number of different scenarios with regard to hours and personnel. And that number has not been determined as of yet.
Okay. And you do not have a bike detail, I understand from the
I'm sorry?
a bike detail, I believe is what Bridget mentioned.
We have, yes, we do have bike patrol. We introduced that this summer.
Is that every day?
It is.
And then your security, do they walk, do they ride have cars, do they?
All of the above.
How often do you expect or would like the Perrysburg Police Department to patrol at Levis? Do you anticipate wanting that to increase with the DORA?
That's a good question. I think Allison has put together an important tool for the chief and his team. And if you could elaborate a little bit on that event sheet, because that's when we will be using additional assistance, as, by the way, we are now presently.
So we worked with the chief on a communication plan as far as when we have the bigger events than the events that will increase the use of the DORA. And it's similar to the parade permit that we submit now when we need to do a road closure. And it will outline the event, the expected attendance, what the event entails, and then the police chief will be able to give us his recommendation as far as what off-duty hours he wants us to pay for to have additional police coverage there. But again, it would be us paying for those additional hours, but it opens up that communication to really evaluate the event. As far as the everyday activity out there, we would not need any additional police patrols. With our security patrol, we have a really great relationship, luckily, with the police department, between both the management team, the security team, and the police department, that we've always gotten a really great response time if needed.
Okay. As far as your special events, then, like this is fantastic, those types of things, or if you, normally you would have had like a beer garden of some sort, with a fence around it. How are you going to handle those type of things? And does that require, is that going to be allowed as far as the DORA for people with the cups using that type of means, or?
Yeah, we would still have to follow the liquor control rules, which would be, I mean, the DORA cups are just, you buy and you drink in the restaurant and then you can carry it out in that particular cup. We can't serve alcohol outside at the event. Even if we have a tent for, say, a fundraiser, we still have to pull a liquor permit separately for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be separately.
Correct.
People that would drink at those events would not be allowed to carry the cup.
Correct.
As far as sanitation, could you describe a little bit about your sanitation program, what it is now, or if you expect to increase that with the DORA?
Oh, sure. I mean, we have trash receptacles everywhere. Our cleaning and security are all trained to do both aspects of those. We don't have someone that's just security. If they walk by a cup on the ground, they're expected to stop and pick that up, as well as anyone on our management team. And then we pay for our own trash hauling, so we get it to the dumpsters, and then we pay for the service from the dumpster to get it to the landfill.
Why the entire area of the Levis?
Sure. Well, prior to doing this, we kind of did an internal survey and spoke with the managers of the apartments, the restaurants, the different owners that make up Levis. And it was determined that the boundary lines would secure and also help us from a security perspective to keep the the DORA within those lines. So that's the reason. Again, it was a community support, if you will. And I do want to go back to a statement that Allison made with regard to security. Again, if we do ask the city police to come out for assistance, this is all paid by us. This would not be additional taxpayer money. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear with council.
And presently, PD does. Correct. I noticed on the application that Flying Joe was included in the participants for this.
Yes, that's true.
Is there an anticipation of alcohol being served there?
It is. It is.
It is served there now? Oh,
It is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Holiday Inn Express was not on your list of participants, so.
They do not serve. The two hotels that do are the Hilton and Home 2 Suites.
Sorry, guys. In your application, you talked about positive economic impacts, and that's something I've been struggling with, how it's economic development or impact of it. You mentioned forward thinking. What do you mean by that having a doors forward thinking?
Go ahead, Go ahead.
Again, with being in the entertainment district and having those liquor permits that are still out there waiting to be claimed, if you will, by other restaurants and bars, this is going to be a selling point for future leasing to help us get more restaurants and bars and fill some of the spaces that are vacant, as well as continue to develop the land as it was originally proposed in the master plan 15 years ago when we opened.
As far as the hours, 11 and noon to 11 and then midnight you can have the cup. So most of your businesses are till 9 p.m. With the exception of some of the restaurants.
Correct.
What's the latest that the restaurants
Bar Louie, I believe, on the weekends is open until 1 or 2, just depending on when traffic starts to flow out of there.
That's all I have right now. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Of the 14 permit holders, all 14 are committed to being included in the DORA?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and I know I was going to ask the same question that Becky did about how many security officers will, that would be, because they're pretty spread out. So it seems like 135 acres is a big area to cover. I know about 45 of those acres are not developed yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just, I think it would be a concern about security as far as, it includes parking area too, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, just kind of think of a scenario where someone could have a plastic cup, walk out to their car, open their trunk, open a cooler, and continually fill their cup.
Sure.
Unless you have enough security watching all that, it seems like something someone can get away with is just as easy as maybe passing a cup to an underage person, like a 21-year-old. Go right out and come right out with a cup and hand it off to an 18-year-old pretty easy. Because there's really no one checking IDs outside on the sidewalks. Is that anything that your security people would be doing? Would they be checking? Would they?
Well, I
someone
understand.
ask to see their ID if they have a cup in their hand?
We discussed all these things early on as well, and the truth is, if somebody wants to skate the laws, they're going to. They could be walking around with a Yeti cup and say it's coffee, and it could be, it could be liquor. We don't know that. That's just the way that people are in open public areas now. Are we going to be searching cups? And no, that I don't. That is not what the plan is on that. However, our security is very diligent about looking for activity that would be a nuisance to other guests and shopping and or dangerous. And those are the things that they will continue to look for and contact the police if needed.
Okay. The 25 security cameras pretty well covers all the entire area.
It covers the whole main drive, if you will, and the side in the parking lots around the cinema, where the most of the activity would be. No, it doesn't cover every acre of the DORA. However, it covers that area where the main businesses are, where we would be concerned about any kind of property damage or anything like that.
And you talk about events like weddings and in the musical events. And so they're just anybody attending those events can just go to a bar, buy a drink, and come right out and be there. Or will they, like the musical events, won't be confined? Like some fundraisers, I think you may have just clear me up on this. On some fundraisers, they sometimes will have their own alcohol selling there. So then will the fences be up for something like that again?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's all the way down here. Thank you. I only got a couple questions. Real quick. I'll save all the other ones for later.
Speaking of mine,
That won't take long.
okay.
I'll start over. I've got a couple questions. I'll save all my other ones for later. I was involved in the meeting earlier in the year when the when you met with the city, and they had a lot of questions at that time, so I kind of have already asked all those. But you did, and so these questions really just stem from some of your presentation here tonight. You had mentioned that most businesses are only open until 9 p.m., but you have asked to have the DORA drinking hours extended to 11 p.m. What would be the reason for having the drinking hours go beyond the time when people would want to walk from store to store and shop and accomplish the mission that you stated you're trying to accomplish, is to increase business at all these stores, but yet you want to extend the hours beyond the closing time of the stores? What would be the reason for doing that?
The retailers, as far as the apparel and service stores, mostly close at 9 o'clock, but the restaurants and bars are open after that. So this would give them the ability, just like it is in the downtown district, downtown Toledo district, to be able to leave one establishment with a cup and carry on to another one.
Right, but you have to dispose of it before you go over to the next one.
Correct.
Right, and you did say earlier that there would be people going from bar to bar, but you just described people going from bar to bar from 9 to 11. That's basically what they would be doing then. Right?
We are not going to organize a bar crawl.
No.
If they are walking from one location to another with a drink, that's different.
Large-scale family events, the scheduled events that you have, and I think you mentioned earlier in the year when we met that this would give you perhaps reason to schedule more events to draw more people in. And if those events involve kids, like some of the ones that get flashed out there, can you explain how you think it's appropriate to have people drinking alcohol around kids? Or maybe it's not, I don't know. Kids don't usually go in bars. I mean, there's going to be kids out there. I was there for your last, I don't know what it was. There were kids everywhere. And my first thought was, well, imagine if there were people out there walking around with alcohol right now. I mean, how would you address that when you have a lot of kids there, when you're purposefully attracting kids, and then we have alcohol being consumed?
With our mix of retailers and restaurants, the demographic is definitely more of the adult. We don't have a lot of children's stores. We do have those free family events for the community to have them come out and enjoy what Levis Commons is. I think to say that any event with children, it shouldn't have alcohol, is going to take 90% of events in the community off the board, including church festivals and such. So I think it's only fair to say that if an adult just chooses to go into Bar Louie and eat lunch and then leave with their beer and go and sit and watch their kid in the sandbox, that's their adult choice as a parent.
Okay. Would you be open to a modification of the agreement to change the permissibility of having the DORA during those types of events where there's a lot of kids?
I believe, I can't speak for the whole committee, but I think that we would be open to discussing that, although I feel like the more restrictions and changes you make to the daily operations of the DORA, the more confusing it just becomes.
Okay, I appreciate that. You mentioned that your marketing tends to be upscale. You probably don't have an exact answer for me right now, but I'm going to ask the question if you can give me an estimate, or if you can find out, maybe report back to me later before we sit down for a vote. Of all the alcohol purchased and consumed in Levis Commons, can you tell just roughly what percentage of that alcohol would be beer and what percentage would be upscale liquor?
Yep. I'm looking at some of the restaurant managers. I'm sure that's information that they can probably pull. Biaggi's is saying, I'm sure we could, that's information that we could track down, but yeah, I definitely don't have it. Yeah.
I guess, Mr. Weber that had brought up the concern about monitoring and trying to prevent underage drinking. Right now, your plan for trying to do that is you've got the cameras and the monitors and security people that you're hoping you can accomplish that. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And you had made, and I'm not sure I heard you right, you had made a comment that you had one occasion where the police have had to come and help you out for intoxication. Is that what you said a little bit ago?
Yes, I saw one incident report. That is correct.
Here, Perrysburg?
At Levis.
Says it. Oh, that was at Levis?
Levis.
Okay. For the last 5 years, or since Levis has been there, or?
Well, in the year that I've been there,
Oh, okay.
yes. I'm not sure, Allison, if you've reviewed incident reports. She's
15
also the assistant general manager, so I don't know how well your memory is right now.
Over 15 years, honestly, I can, the only drunken disorderly instance we've had out there was Paulie Shore coming back from the comedy club. We had to boot him out of there. That's really the only thing that's sticking out in my mind over 15 years.
So 1 in 15 years.
There you go.
I'm sure there were some other smaller incidences, but nothing significant.
It's actually really good, but you end up with 2 now. Yeah. Or you double.
There you go.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council President, for introducing me. No, I actually appreciate some of the questions that were already asked, took some of my thunder here. But I do have just a couple questions for some clarification. And I know that this was mentioned a couple of times regarding some of the events that happened with the beer garden tents or those types of functions. I'm assuming people still go and purchase alcohol at some of the establishments and still walk around, just wouldn't be able to do that at the actual beer garden tent. Is that correct?
Correct.
Sorry, I just thought I misunderstood that.
Thank you for that.
Nothing was happening at that point. And the other question I have is actually that number 2 rule up there for the 3 simple rules, where it says only permitted inside establishments with the DORA logo. This might be a question for our law director here, but from what I understand from the open container law, the exemption, which is for 4301.62, is that it still prohibits a person from entering the premises of an establishment with an open container of beer or intoxicating liquor purchased elsewhere. So I'm assuming that someone cannot purchase a drink and then walk into a store to shop.
No, they can walk into a store to shop. They cannot take that open container into another establishment that has a liquor permit. So you can't go from Bar Louie into Biaggi's, but you could go in from Bar Louie into, say, Francesca's. Right.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
According to this section of the revised code that you referenced, business establishments otherwise located within the designated area can have signs on their property saying that they are a participating or welcoming establishment. So yes, you could leave a restaurant that serves the alcohol with your cup, go into a non-alcohol establishment as long as they had a sign posted welcoming them.
I just wanted to have that clarification from the way I read it. It wasn't clear. Typically, ORC.
Okay.
All right. That's the only 2 questions I have.
Thank you.
Most of mine have already been asked as well, but I'm curious, how many times did you meet with the police chief?
I and Mel, who owns Basil, and where is Mel? There you are. We met with him once in a formal meeting. Well, we did, the 2 of us, that Mel and I did,
So
but there have been subsequent meetings.
What were his concerns and in what way did you address those?
Primarily security, sir, and again, we stressed, I'm sorry? The hours. Yes. Security and hours, yes, thank you. And we addressed those concerns by, again, sharing what we have in-house with regard to security, number 1, and number 2, again, our cameras, our 25 cameras. So we spent a lot of time on that. And lastly, the hours, he was concerned about the hours, so we did modify the hours based on his recommendation.
Thank you. And then lastly, I believe the original application we saw, there were 13 establishments that had expressed interest or wanted to participate. And now I see 14 with potential of 16. Are those coming about because of DORA in part?
Good question. The last one, we just signed the deal, and the DORA was discussed with this prospective tenant, and they are a Perrysburg resident, and they were really quite excited about it. So, was it the fact that made the deal sign? Not really, but it added to the deal. As far as the other 2 prospects we're talking to, again, we've mentioned DORA, and both have expressed great support for the DORA.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to follow up on
that she made.
Allison, you said that you've been in 15 years and there haven't been less than a handful of issues. Have you used the same security company all through those 15 years?
We have not. We've had the company that we currently have, Brightly Services, DBA Black by Black, was there for the beginning stretch. Then we switched to a different contractor for a few years and have subsequently gone back to Black
What's
by
the name of
Black.
the company now?
It's Black by Black.
And are the security cameras constantly monitored 24/7?
They're not monitored, but they're recording.
Right.
So there's no way.
So no one ever witnessed a violation that they could
Well,
radio
look,
up
right.
security.
If I may, we have made changes. The security cameras I can see, as well as the security director and the facility manager. So I do have access with regard to viewing what is going on at the property via my computer. So one can see. We have a video. Yes.
Is there any of those 3 people, are they on site?
Well, I certainly am. I am, as well as the facility manager and the operations director who works for Block by Block. And again, if we may add, with regard to Block by Block, they are presently handling the DORA in downtown Toledo. So they do have the experience with regard to DORA.
Any other questions from council? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll open it up. If anyone has any comments regarding the pending application.
I
Jack,
just have a couple of quick.
Jack,
I'm
please state
Jack
your name
Hefflinger.
and
I'm Jack Hefflinger, and I'm a Perrysburg resident for, I don't know, 44 years or something, 42. And I just have a couple of questions. I can't determine or see from the logo, is that logo specific to the serving establishment? Does it have the name on it? And the other question is it highly visible?
you want to answer those?
Go ahead, let's go ahead.
Looks like a wine glass up there. And I can't tell if
It's
it's,
the wine glass that says DORA, and then it says designated outdoor refreshment area. That'll be the logo that we will use to promote the DORA within Levis Commons, as well as that's what will appear on the cups,
Okay.
so that they're easily identifiable as the cups that have left the restaurant.
so here's my other question. The question comes up about the person pouring wine out of the trunk. Let's assume that I got a DORA cup from somebody. We don't know where it came. I just saved it. And I want to save some money. Instead of going out and spending $7 for a glass of wine, I'll just pour a little bit in there, go over there and sip and meet with my friends on the bench, on a bench out there and talk about it. Well, I'm getting a little fuzzy, maybe. What effect would that have? In other words, if one of the law people came going by, would they be seeing, could they see that that was a DORA cup or not? So anyway, that's hypothetical, so that's a couple of questions that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Can I go up there?
Yes, please. Please state your name and address.
My pleasure.
Correctly.
I'm Dr. Linda Boyer. I live at 149 Partridge Lane in Perrysburg. And I have kind of an interesting role here. I am a 30-year Perrysburg resident, but I'm also the vice chair of the Uptown Association. Uptown in Toledo was the first outdoor refreshment area in the state. So we've been there for 4 years on Adams Street, the village on Adams. I want to reassure, I read some things in the paper about people being concerned about people stumbling drunk into residential neighborhoods and security issues. We've had none of that on the village on Adams on Uptown. no more than anybody else who goes into a bar and drinks too much and comes out. We have people who walk up and down the street. The only thing I am concerned about that was said tonight is I don't believe you're allowed to necessarily take your glass and walk into a store. Maybe you are now, I don't know what, maybe the law has changed. But we were very clear that you could walk outside from bar to bar. I'm not sure, maybe you can walk into a store. But we have had, we initially hired security within the Uptown neighborhood, and we've basically gotten rid of it because if anything, it's improved crime and security in the area because you have people walking outside more. They're not just sitting in the bar and drinking. They come out, they walk, they're sitting on the benches. I go to Uptown Toledo probably 2-3 times a week for lunch or dinner or a drink after work or something like that. I've never had any problems. And we probably have more case history. Personally, as a Perrysburg resident, not speaking as the Uptown Vice Chair, I would like to see it downtown. I think that would be a fun thing to be able to go from bar to bar downtown for events like Farmers Market and things like that. But the people who live in the historic district being concerned that people are going to walk out with a drink and stumble onto their front lawn, we've not had that experience in Uptown. And it's been a great boon to the restaurants and the bars in Uptown. And I'd be happy, if anybody has any questions about the Uptown experience, I'd be happy to answer them as much as I know. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Patrick Leahy, owner Stella's Restaurant, 104 Louisiana Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the downtown permit holders and other businesses. A lot of these people were instrumental in starting the Thursday Farmers Market, First Fridays, Winterfest, and it's rather disheartening during this whole process that to hear how many times the Levis Commons was consulted and allowed to revise their plan and had meetings within 5 days of their application, but we were never even, no one invited us to a meeting, no one asked us to do a presentation. We submitted our plan, and then we hear on Channel 13 News that for these reasons it was turned down. It feels like we're giving the bums a rush, and really it doesn't sit well with us.
Well, just to be clear, some people who were on the application did receive a phone call before the decision was made. I talked to at least 2 people who were on the application before the decision was made public.
Okay, that's fair. I wasn't one of them, but I will say that we were not asked for any additional information once we submitted the plan. I think that's fair as well. All right. We submitted a DORA that was 2 blocks from the south side of Louisiana, or the south side of Front Street to the north side of the railroad tracks. We did that so everything was out in the open, that it'd be easy to maintain. Yet, but I hear on the news that they were concerned about our use of city services. Really 10 acres opposed to 135 acres that, from Dixie Highway down Roachton Road, all the way up Michael Owens Way by the ditch bank, where there's forest and kids leaving the high school, driving down the road, people on the sidewalk. I can't believe that some security guards are going to be able to monitor all of that. In the end, liquor laws are a function of law enforcement, not security guards. So if someone violates those liquor laws, the police will have to be involved, and to your point earlier. As far as the downtown residents, our plan was never made public, so the downtown residents really didn't know where the boundaries existed. So I wouldn't want people drinking in my front yard either, but we made sure that it was just on Louisiana Avenue with a small 145 feet each way on 2nd Street, so when there was shows. So a lot of it was, I think, people worried, but the plan was never made available for them even to see it. I think one thing, we have 4 years of DORA experience in Ohio. My brother owns Manhattan's Restaurant, which is in the village of Adams. We consult with them a lot and we put our plan together. They do not sell that many cups during the week. It's not like they're selling a bunch of beers for people to take outside. Most of that is done during special events, which makes downtown Perrysburg so great because we have Farmers Market every week. We have First Fridays, Winterfest, Harrison Rally Days, all those things. But there's not a huge impact on sanitation. Really, if there's 200 cups a week, in an existing garbage can, it's not going to cause overtime. Many times, as a lot of us have noticed, the city workers, when they're going to empty the garbage, they're only a third full anyways, right? They do a great job, by the way, but it's not as if we're creating all of the food waste or paper waste like the food trucks. When they came to town, you had to put extra garbage cans and picnic tables out for them. I do want to ask the law director, though. You had mentioned that it's okay to take the alcohol into a non-alcohol establishment when it's purchased somewhere else. I have the law. I mean, unless something's changed, I don't know where.
I have it in front of me as well, and I believe, and what I was basing my statement on, was within the designated area, that it was my understanding that in the non-alcohol related establishment, so a clothing store, on their, say, sip and shop type of proposal, it was my understanding that was permitted with that particular signage. I know the administrator and I were just speaking about it a few minutes ago as well. I will double check that.
Because we did call the Ohio Department of Liquor Control, our local compliance officer, and they're assuring us that it's not allowed to be taken. It's an outdoor refreshment area. But I mean, I would by all means, because I know someone had mentioned on Facebook that Grove City, Ohio, or something is allowing that to happen. But that would be news.
I would certainly defer to the Department of Liquor Control since they are the experts on it, and some of the other ones statewide that I researched, it looked as though they were allowing it as well.
Okay. So in addition to the downtown liquor owners, or the downtown restaurants, establishments, we also have 29 letters of support from other businesses downtown. We respectfully request that the city rejects the Levis Common application and that the city meets with the downtown merchants to submit a plan for downtown. Thanks.
Could you just I have not seen all those letters. Would you like us to get those?
Yeah, I'll drop off tomorrow.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Blake,
Yes.
you had said that you're representing the other business owners downtown Perrysburg?
Yes.
Downtown Perrysburg. Awesome.
The other ones that supplied the application, so Swig, right? Rose and Thistle, Castle Barons, Suburban Bottle.
If you're willing to speak on their behalf, my question is, do you think that approving a DORA for Levis Commons puts the businesses that you represent tonight at a competitive disadvantage?
No, it's not with Levis Commons. I have no beef with Levis Commons. But what I think our feeling is that Maumee, Waterville, Rossford, eventually everyone's going to be getting DORAs. They're very popular. And it's going to put downtown Perrysburg at a disadvantage to these other cities because ours is out of the shopping mall, right? And that's where it's at. And so when we have these things like the farmers market, First Fridays, that's what the DORA was meant to service.
I want to make sure I understand your response. The question was, do you think that, let me reword my question, do you think approving a DORA for somewhere other than uptown Perrysburg, in Perrysburg, would put uptown Perrysburg at a competitive disadvantage with wherever that DORA is located? But you do think it, but then you do think it puts uptown Perrysburg at a competitive disadvantage with other cities?
I think eventually, because it's progressive, right? I mean, there's 24 in the state of Ohio now. Who knows how many next year or later this year? It's not going to put us at a disadvantage with Levis Commons. It's a different customer for us. But it will eventually not make us as competitive with other small cities in Northern Ohio. Defiance, Napoleon, they all have them in the downtown. And if you look, of the 24 already operating, I think it's 22 are in downtown areas. There's only 2. It's sort of a quasi area like Levis Commons.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jill Perry, and I live on 2nd Street. My mom lives on
Jill,
2nd Street.
would you mind coming? Hi.
I'm gonna do it anyways. I've been a resident of Perrysburg for 50 years. I'm a real estate agent. I've worked with Howard Hanna for 27 years, and we are located downtown Perrysburg. I can tell you one of the things that sets Perrysburg separately from other cities that are like ours is not a Levis Commons, as much as I love Levis Commons, but you can find those kinds of open stores anywhere. The downtown Perrysburg is really what sets it apart when people are relocating here. Sorry, I'm so nervous. I hate talking in front of people, but it really is what sells Perrysburg when I'm showing houses. So I'm in favor of it being downtown Perrysburg. I guess my question is, and maybe I'm ignorant to this, but has it already been decided that it's at Levis, or is this something that you're going to ask the people their opinion?
It
Where
has
they
not been
would-
decided, and that will be city council's decision to make.
Okay.
It hasn't been
So I mean, do
decided.
the people get a vote in this, or how does that work?
Well, it's clear, yeah, go ahead.
So the way the revised codes established these was that they gave the authority to the mayor to submit an application to city council. And so in this situation, the mayor received 2 applications, went through the decision-making process that Administrator Cabot laid out earlier this evening, and then submitted the 1 application to city council, and that was the Levis Commons application. At this stage, city council has a decision to make, either to approve or disapprove the Levis Commons. At this point, and actually under the law, city council does not have the authority to substitute an application for Levis Commons. They have to rule on what's in front of them, and that's the Levis application.
But why was the Levis application picked then over?
So as Administrator Cabot laid out earlier this evening, at the beginning of the public hearing, all the administrative team within the city reviewed both applications, provided an executive summary to the mayor with a recommendation based on that summary, and recommendation at that time was the Levis application. The mayor chose to accept the recommendation of his staff, and that is what was submitted to the city council. The city council does not have a downtown Perrysburg application in front of them to consider. Again, they can only approve or disapprove of the Levis application.
And all of that information was provided to council and also provided to the public through various social media and on the mayor's web comments on the webpage. So all the documents that were considered, including the recommendation from all the unanimous vote of staff, is on that.
Okay. I do think if you look at social media and you ask the public, though, I think most people would decide that downtown Perrysburg was a better location. So thank you.
Ms. Perry, may I ask you a question? Ms. Perry?
Sure.
You're going to have to stand for a little while.
Ah.
You said you were a realtor,
I am.
and that when you're showing houses in Perrysburg, you think it would be more beneficial, or be more attractive to potential home shoppers if the DORA was in downtown Perrysburg than in Levis, correct? That's what you said.
I just think that the downtown area is such a selling point based on the uniqueness of it. And, whether you drink or not, DORA is going to bring more people. It just does, in my opinion. Because you're going to have people that are walking around that would come based on the fact that there was a DORA.
Yeah, but my question is more on people that are looking to buy a home and move to Perrysburg, not really looking to come to Perrysburg just to drink for the evening. So my question is, do you think people would be more attractive to want to move to Perrysburg if the downtown had a DORA than if it didn't have a DORA?
No, but I think that they would be more attracted to it if it remained very active and more stores came in and more restaurants came in because of the fact that they would want to be downtown because there was a DORA. So the more activity there is downtown, I think the more attractive it would be.
So to be clear, a DORA downtown would attract more people downtown for activities, but it would not necessarily attract more people to Perrysburg to relocate to live in Perrysburg.
I think if the downtown becomes more and more active and more stores come in and more restaurants come in, that yes, it would be an attribute for a selling point for people to move to Perrysburg. Absolutely.
Just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess I had another question for Allison or Rita. Why now? Why did you apply for this DORA now? It just seems kind of interesting that the applications were both like within a month of each other. It just like all of a sudden right now. I'm just curious as to why.
I guess I can speak to that. Toledo has had an opportunity to prove itself and to work out the kinks and show. Oh, sorry. Okay.
So why now? So downtown Toledo has kind of established itself in its DORA and proven that it's a non-issue as far as violence or criminal activity. We're seeing a definite uptick in people submitting for these permits. There's a shopping center in Cleveland that recently got a DORA permit. We've got Sylvania. There's some other outlying cities. It seems that the trend will be that in coming years, a lot, I shouldn't say every major city, but it seems like the trend is leaning towards cities establishing these areas. So we wanted to bring that to Perrysburg. In addition to this being our 15th year anniversary, it's kind of just that next step in where we want Levis Commons to go as continuing to be the heart of activity.
Yes, go ahead.
Rick Ruffner, question for you. This might be more for the law director. What is the amount of population before a second DORA is allowed?
Municipalities with a population of 35,000 or less are permitted one. So you have to get over that 35,000 population threshold to be afforded more than one.
According to the sheet I have here, it says 50,000. Yeah, too.
Is it 50? I don't know. I've heard it wrong.
It's 35 to 50,000 can have a larger.
35 to 50 can have the larger space, yeah. And then over the 50 can have the more. And the point being, Rick, on that is when you're under 35,000, it's 150 acres or less is the size. So it's based on square foot or acreage.
I've got a question. Kelly Eubank. How long
Would
is
you
the
please
DORA?
talk to the mic and say
Everybody knows how it's done. We've seen it happen twice.
Kelly Eubank. How long is the DORA application good for? Is it a year, 5 years, 10 years?
The DORA, once it's I'm jumping.
Go ahead. I was letting you. We're all part of it.
So state law requires a minimum review of it at least no longer than every 5 years. City Council actually has the authority to designate the DORA for whatever period of time that it wants to. So they could do it for 12 months, 24 months. It has to be reviewed at least every 5. Within enacting legislation, City Council can mandate an annual or every 2-year review if they wish to do so. Within the period of time that the DORA is in existence, City Council can choose to modify or to eliminate the DORA. That would require public hearings and notice be given, but they ultimately, City Council would maintain the authority to control it in the form of any one of those metrics.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming to the podium.
My name is Ann Benjamin, 721 Locust Street, and my concern with what's been proposed is something that's been addressed a little bit this evening, which is going out to your car. With Adams Street, I don't think you get to go 2 or 3 blocks away. It is a designated strip that has sidewalks on it as far as having the DORA. I would like to see it modified so that you could not have the DORA where there are no sidewalks, maybe 10 feet. I'm not sure how that would work. And the other concern I have is that if the stores do close at 9, that leaves people at restaurants, but you cannot take a drink from one restaurant to another. So I would like to see maybe at 10 o'clock you have, or 9:30, after the store closes, you have time to finish your drink, but you aren't lingering outside until 11 o'clock with liquor. Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and now we'll close the public comment.
Oh, I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Name, please. Yes, my name is Tim Higgins. I live at 12341 Waterstone Lane, which is the Waterstone Landing Apartments down the road from Levis. I just wanted to compliment the council just kind of on your thoughtful questions, and I think that just the mayor's office bringing this to council, I think, is a big step for the city, and it is nice to see it. So I guess my comment would be, coming into this not knowing much about it, I found the restrictions to be even more conservative than what I was expecting, and I would encourage council to approve with as is, as clearly the folks from Love's Commons have put a lot of thought into the rules, and I think maybe restricting the hours or putting more and more restrictions is just going to prohibit the growth of Levis. Of course, there could be more businesses in the future that could be open later, or more events that could go on later into the evening. So I guess my comment would be to approve as is and avoid adding unnecessary restrictions that might prohibit the future growth and improvement of the area itself. Thanks.
Okay, I think we all had a chance. Council's now left to decide how it wants to proceed, or if it wants to talk about that during the council meeting.
We'll talk about it.
All right. We will close the public hearing in a timely 15-minute fashion, and start council after. We'll give everybody who wants to stay a chance to stay, and everybody wants to leave a chance to leave, so we'll start at 7:30. Thank you.